Hello, this is a follow-up to the Dear James Rolfe, it's time to retire the AVGN reaction video. This is a follow-up to Jason Graves' follow-up to that original video. He's made another one. I don't quite understand why, but let's just dive into it, shall we? I think it's got a lot of interesting things for us to examine and dissect, sort of. We'll see. I've been studying Jason Graves for a while now, and something that is interesting about him is that he pretends to love the Syracuse basketball team and football. I'm the Syracuse guy. Not him. I'm the Syracuse guy. Just want to make that perfectly clear. He's copying me. Next, you're going to tell me he loves The Simpsons, and he's going to reference The Simpsons in this video. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. This guy's a serial stealer. Let's dive into this. This is the first reaction to the Jason Graves I Was Wrong About James Rolfe and the Angry Video Game Nerd video. React 2.
A little over 2 years ago, I made this video right here. This video right here. It is by far the most viewed thing I have ever made. It's not close. And ironically, the whole thing from idea to upload was only like an hour and a half. It was not thought.
Okay, so first off, Jason Graves doesn't understand how a green screen works. Look at these artifacts. Is this part of the joke? Is it supposed to be bad? I don't understand. Okay, moving on.
I fucking just said shit, uploaded shit, and the shit's up there forever. But whatever, it's fine. Whatever, that's like why I'm on YouTube. That's why I'm doing this. But my overall
why you're on
sentiment
YouTube.
with what I was trying to say on that video rang true. Because I am such a huge fucking James Rolfe Cinemassa head that I have consumed more than 99.99%.
Not me. Not more than me. I'm the Cinemassa. The Cinemassa head. Cinemassa head? Really? Okay, cute term.
Of fans of his have ever consumed. Everything he's ever fucking put out, I have scarfed it down. I've nommed.
Look at his refrigerator. He doesn't have a single photograph on his refrigerator. Doesn't anybody love him? Does anybody care? Look at these. Look at these. He's got these 3 lights pointing towards a wall. Okay. This guy doesn't even have a magnet. Not one magnet on his refrigerator. You're gonna trust this guy? Interesting. Very interesting. Alright, let's keep going with this.
So, when something's wrong, like, you get a sense when his stop.
He's got a Series S. Jason Graves has an Xbox Series S on his desk back there. Are you kidding me? Okay, let's keep going. This is getting good.
Style starts to shift suddenly and dramatically, and that was the sense I was getting around that time. It was obvious to hardcore longtime fans of Cinemassacre and James Rolfe that he had begun to outsource much of the creative work in his videos, not just AVGN episodes, but across his whole channel, to these guys who work at a company called Screenwave Media, which was owned by an old friend of James's. The main idea in that video, my biggest point, was that if it's not James's opinions, if it's not James saying all this...
Hey, Einstein, you forgot to turn your green screen on.
for by these guys behind the scenes, kind of controlled like a puppet in these videos, then why are you still making them? Like, what's the fucking point of us watching? What's the point of you making the video if you're fucking, you can't even, like, muster up the energy to come up with your own thoughts for them? Then, like, who the fuck cares? I thought that he could start a Patreon, sit down, talk about movies, like his main fucking topic of interest, and he would clean up, throw in a few personal projects.
You thought he could start a Patreon? Oh, now that you've done it, it's okay? Okay, Jason Graves has started a Patreon. You've heard it here first. He's a Patreon guy now. This is all for money. He wants the cash. He wants you to pay him now. Here's the thing that people don't really consider is that his original AVGN video got 60,000 views in a couple of years. Now he's struggling to maintain 10,000 views a video. So this is all a gambit. This is all a stratagem to get more numbers into his Patreon. And he's just revealed it. He's saying, now that I've done it, it's fine for you to do it, James Rolfe. James Rolfe, go ahead and start a Patreon, because I've paved the way. This is what's so sick about this Jason Graves. And I've thought a lot about this. He thinks that he owns the AVGN. First, he's telling James Rolfe to retire, because I don't like your content anymore, is what he said. He said that with his own words. He said, okay, I think it's time for you to go now, because I don't like what you're doing anymore. And that is such BS. That's horse hockey, that he could just try and do that. And so now that he's in some kind of dire straits, I can tell, because he doesn't even have an Xbox Series X. He's got the S on his desk. Now he started a Patreon, and he's like, okay, James, follow me. Do what I say. I'm the Pied Piper. It's such BS.
Like those horror things he makes, like the Head Incident Returns, like throw shit like that on there. And you can just talk about movies, either like
The Head Incident Returns was terrible!
Like specific reviews or general topics. Make a Patreon. You could still have video sponsors. And there's no way that wouldn't be like enough
Jason
money
Graves,
to live
when are you
on.
going to have video sponsors, huh?
Up.
Raid Shadow Legends,
You would make so much money doing that. But that's not what he did. Instead, he fucking hired these clowns to make these fucking videos for him. Well, he shows up on set like Krusty smoking the fucking cigarette.
Let's get this right.
Fucking Simpsons reference. Okay.
Two. Hey, here comes Sideshow Mel. Again, here
Called
comes
it.
Sideshow Mel. Sideshow Mel. Three. Bada bing, bada boom,
I'm
I'm
the Simpsons
Reads
guy.
his lines, and as a result, we got
I'm the
these
Syracuse
crappy
guy, and
fucking
I'm the Simpsons
soulless
guy.
videos
Sorry.
for a few years there. I still think that way. I still think that entire era of Cinemassacre fucking sucked. It's not worth watching. But a lot has happened since I made that video.
That's the best era.
That was before even Mike left the channel. Like, since then, Mike has left the channel. For the rest of 2020 and 2021, they were uploading at a breakneck pace. They were uploading 2 to 3 videos every single week. And James wasn't even in all the videos. Like, there would be a video uploaded. I remember one that was like PS5 versus Xbox One. And it was just them, like, interviewing a bunch of dudes.
271,000 views. Do you see
what
that?
do
That's
think
more
about
than you
the
ever got.
PS5 and sorry, I said Xbox One. And the Xbox
Call me
Series
Johnny. It's my
X.
favorite YouTuber besides
Like,
James.
who gives a shit? It's a fucking, like, retro gaming channel. Like, James doesn't fucking care about video games, so they can't even, like, he can't even be on that fucking video. Before things got better, they got worse. For the rest of 2020, for the rest of 2021, we were getting these crappy, fucking soulless videos that were ghost written by fucking people behind the scenes, with James just flapping his gums saying words that he doesn't believe, that he didn't think of. So, Monster Madness, right? He puts out
here we go. Here we go. Monster Madness.
In the month of October.
Yes.
He uploads a video every day talking about horror films. His supposed favorite thing in
Surprised
the
you didn't
entire
say
world,
horror films.
The first one goes
Everybody was
up,
picking on James for his speech
and it
impediment. It's
takes
such
a
BS.
weird turn where he starts talking about 9/11.
The movie began shooting on September 1st, 2001.
Okay.
We all know what
That's
happened
just-
so
that's
shortly
writing
after,
character.
and when seeing the film today and being put into that time period, you can't help but think of 9/11.
And it's really jarring, and it's really strange, and it's not something you would ever expect James to talk about.
Why?
It's not something you would expect even his ghostwriters to talk about.
Why?
And that's because it was fucking plagiarized. This guy named Newt Wallen, who is a friend
Newt?
of one of the slobs, the biggest one, Justin, was a friend, is a friend. I don't know. He's like in their friend group. They outsourced it to him to write these fucking Monster Madness videos. And it turns out he's a serial plagiarist. Probably the funniest thing I've seen uncovered on the Cinemassive Truth is, you guys remember the AVGN roast? A long time ago, it was like, you know what a roast is, right? You fucking a bunch of people make fun of somebody, but it's all
Jason
like
Graves
information,
doesn't
whatever,
even
blah, blah,
know
blah.
anything about
So
Newt,
he was
dude.
on that, this guy named Newt. And it turns out every single one of his jokes from that was plagiarized.
Figure out what he was gonna wear, either honey glazed or pineapple slices. Just seeing
I've
less
seen
bloated
less
bodies
bloated
pulled out
men
of fucking
dredged out of
rivers.
rivers.
So this guy, like, he has a fucking problem. Like, whenever he needs to
Easy
do
jokes.
creative work,
Anybody
he
parallel
just,
thinking?
like,
Ever heard of
fucking
parallel
takes it
thinking?
from
Look it
wherever,
up.
sticks it into his shit. That's what he does. He got exposed for doing
Oh,
that.
I've got so much to say
and
about Newt.
Like,
Oh, it's just
James
so
is reading
funny
this
that-
review, this
Oh
contemporary
my
review
goodness.
from the early
Jason
2000s,
Graves drank
like
all
when
the
9/11
Kool-Aid about
was
Newt.
fucking
That's
fresh.
so
It
embarrassing.
came
He's
out
such
right
a-
away.
he's
People were
such a
onto it like that.
goofball.
It was fucking stolen. So he apologized, and I think it was a really big wake-up call for James. And Cinemassacre takes a little hiatus. They don't upload for the entire
He's going to talk
month
about the
of
book that he's got in the
January.
background,
At least
right?
not till the end. January 28th.
He's
I
got
did
the
my
book right there in the
research
background?
beforehand, was the
He's gonna
first
talk about that.
video of new content that he put out this year with a marked different direction. Throughout 2022, we haven't seen Justin. We haven't seen Kieran.
Why
we
is
haven't
this
seen
camera
Tony,
moving?
we
I feel like
haven't
I'm on
seen
a
any
boat,
of
the way this camera's
slobs, as
moving
they're
back and
known.
forth.
It's just been James, and it's so refreshing. I mean, he's
Like,
not
can I do
doing anything amazing for most of the year. Most of his videos, he sits down in front of a green screen.
For most of his
and he
videos,
just
he's sitting down in front of a
gives
green
his,
screen.
like,
I'm
boilerplate,
Jason Graves.
opinions on whatever the given topic
Well,
is.
Here I am.
And that's fine. That's all anybody's
That's fine.
asking for you to
That's
do.
all we were asking for.
As for AVGN this year in 2022,
You ever seen Rocky climb the mountain?
It
That
seems
was
like kind of
freaking
a back to
terrible.
basics
That
approach.
was one of the worst videos I've ever seen in my
As we can see
life.
from the credits, Kieran, one of the slobs, is still editing the episodes, but they feel like James topics. They feel like James words coming out of James' mouth. And that's all we've ever asked for, man. That's all we need. Just make sure the shit that you're saying is actually yours, and you're fucking golden, James. He uploaded an episode today about Garfield, and that's actually the inspiration for this little ramble thing I'm doing here, because I thought it was fantastic. It seemed like through 2022, even though it was more...
Excuse me?
Well, there you have the Famicom Classic, A Week of Garfield. A week off my life expectancy. This isn't Garfield, it's more like Barfield. This is one of the worst 8-bit shit
about Garfield. And that's actually the inspiration for this little ramble thing I'm doing here, because I thought it was fantastic. It seemed like through 2022, even though it was more James...
Classic, A Week of Garfield. A week off my life expectancy. This isn't Garfield, it's more like Barfield.
And that's actually the inspiration for this little ramble thing I'm doing here, because I thought it was fantastic. It seemed like through 20 little ramble thing I'm doing here, because I thought it was fantastic. It seemed like through this little ramble thing I'm doing here, because I thought it was fantastic. It seemed like through 2022, even though it was more James, like it was more of what we wanted. The episodes weren't fully back yet. It was kind of like he had to work himself out of this long slump. He needed to relearn
This
how
isn't
to
fair.
make
This isn't fair.
these videos
This isn't fair.
great. because it's been years since he's been doing it on his own, or mostly on his own, like from concept to writing to performing. And he made a Garfield episode today that was fantastic. It's one of in the top 10% of AVGN episodes, I would say. And if you're still capable of that, I think I made
Top
one miscalculation in my original video. I
10%?
just assumed that James had lost all of his passion forever and that it would never come back. But it seems like he's really woken up as of late. And if James can get out of bed, like, it was never a question whether or not he was capable of making great videos. It was always if he was willing to do it. And for a few years there, it was obvious he wasn't. But it seems like he is again. So, all right, James, like, don't fucking shine on. Keep doing it. Keep going. I'm still a big fan. I read the fucking book. There's the book. Keep going. I'm still a big fan. I read the fucking book. There's the book. Your world horror films. The first one goes up, and it takes a weird turn where he starts talking about 9/11.
The movie began shooting on September 1st, 2001. We all know what happened so shortly after, and when seeing the film today and being put into that time period, you can't help but think of 9/11.
And it's really jarring, and it's really strange, and it's not something you would ever expect James to talk about. It's going. I'm still a big fan. I read the fucking book. There's the book.
At the start of the fall semester in 2001, my apartment was unfurnished and completely empty. So, I commuted for a couple weeks until my dad was available to help me move. We loaded his van with all my necessities, a mattress, a TV, a computer, a bookshelf, and set the date. I marked it on the calendar. It was a day I looked forward to with happiness and excitement. But now, that date can only be looked at with shock, horror, and sadness. The date was September 11th. It's easy for most people to remember what they were doing on that day. No exceptions here. I was watching 28 Days Later, according to James Rolfe. I remember driving towards Philly with my dad that morning, all my stuff piled in the back of the van. We heard the news live on the radio as it developed. A plane had crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. You get my point.
Actually, let's talk about the book. Let me sit down and talk about the book. Here's the book, and everybody likes to make fun
I'm
of
sure
the
you
pictures
read
on
the
the
whole
cover,
book.
and no doubt,
I'm
like,
sure
this
you
one,
totally thought
this
about this
one
video
in
and
particular looks really stupid. But
really
I
ironed
enjoyed
out
the
your
book.
thoughts and feelings
he goes
before
really
you
in
just
depth into times in his
opined
life that you have not heard
on a James
in,
Ralph
like,
video
his
made
other content.
today.
Like, if you've seen Cinemassacre 200, Cinemassacre 100 even, that's a deeper cut, like Dragon in My Dreams, all those like personal videos and just like tidbits that he's mentioned over the years, then you've heard a lot of what's in the book, but you haven't heard everything. He goes really in depth. He goes into some deep cuts, like talking about when he was
Why
in
does
high
his
school,
fingernails
which
look
sucked.
like that?
But what fascinates me is he goes really
Why
in
is his
depth
fingernail?
about his time in a special ed
Look at his
school,
fingernails.
because it becomes clear as
How
you're
disgusting
reading
are
this
those
book that
fingernails?
James
What
Rolfe
on
is an
earth?
autistic man. Like not as an insult. I don't mean that like
Look
as
at these.
an insult.
Look at
That's
these
just
beauties.
is what he is. He's an autistic man
these
that
beauties.
came up just before
Beautiful nails.
that was a
Worked very
fucking
hard
like,
on them.
thing that was diagnosed and labeled. Back then, he was just
Jason
a
Graves'
strange
nails are
kid.
disgusting.
And for him to go as far in his life as he has accomplished more than I have, more than I ever will.
Here's the thing that you're not
Probably
going to
more
hear
than
from
you
any
have.
other YouTuber.
And it's fucking...
Look. Jason Graves bites his nails. You can see it right there. Biting nails is a sign of anxiety, a sign of fear, a sign of insecurity. Can't trust that. Can't trust that when it's a 2100 subscriber channel. You kind of hold them to a higher standard. But this Jason Graves guy? Maybe. Maybe. Not me. Not me. I see right through this.
It's inspiring. I wish he talked more about the Angry Video Game Nerd in this book. He doesn't talk about making like any specific episodes. He goes on and on and on and on and on about the movie, and there's some interesting bits in there about the movie. But as for like his career, and most of the time that like you know him for, there's really not a whole lot of content. It goes into his college days a lot. It goes into his high school days quite a bit. So yeah, it's a good read. It uses simple language. People make fun of him for using simple language, but simple language is great. There was a time in my life when I was making videos where I would go to the fucking thesaurus and I would spice up my writing, my prose, like it was a fucking college essay. But you don't need that, man. Just express your thoughts in the simplest way possible, like James does in this book.
You get vocabulary from reading books.
You could read this in a fifth grade classroom.
I got a vocabulary so great that,
but there's nothing wrong with that.
It's out of this world. It's so good. And this guy's saying like this, his vocabulary's something special
like, if
because
you're a fucking James Rolfe fan, just get the book, read the book.
He
it's
used
great.
a thesaurus. That's cheating. You're disgusting if you use a thesaurus.
Congratulations, boys.
James, stop. Stop this video. I'm done.